Now, from the UNTV News and Rescue Command Center, this is Y News with Angelo Castro III and Darlene Basingan.
Good evening. Solicitor General Jose Calida has filed a manifestation to revoke the court's decision on the serious illegal detention case filed by Ben-Hur Luy against the mastermind of the pork barrel scam, Janet Lim Napoles. Mornokson will tell us why.
Convicting pork barrel scam queen Janet Lim Napoles of serious illegal detention is an injustice done to her. This has been the explanation of Solicitor General Jose Calida in the manifestation in lieu of rejoinder he filed at the Court of Appeals last January, which recommends the acquittal of Napoles in the said case. In a press conference, Solicitor Calida claims gathering evidence proving that Napoles did not illegally detain his cousin Ben-Hur Luy, the star witness in the plunder case in connection with the pork barrel scam.
When we look at the evidence, the transcript of records, there are many glaring instances which will support the acquittal of the accused.
He said there is no proof that Luy was coerced to stay at a retreat house, adding that he had a cell phone which he could use to call for help at the time of the supposed detention. Calida also noted that Luy was also visited 3 times by his family in Metro Manila, but he did not grab the opportunity to escape. The Solgen also added that Luy gave a letter to his cousin which says he is not illegally detained. Calida further noted that during the time Luy was rescued by authorities, he told them that he was not detained against his will. Calida says there is also a CCTV footage and statements of guards at the building proving that he stated such.
With facts like this, can you in conscience say that he should be convicted for the crime of serious illegal detention? Justice is blind and we should do justice, even if he is Ben-Hur Luy.
Calida also said that there will be no effect in their manifestation the acquittal of Napoles and other cases related to the pork barrel scam.
This serious illegal detention has nothing to do with the alleged the cases of Janet Napoles in the DAF and PDAF. These are 2 separate matters. As far as we are concerned, Ben-Hur Luy was not detained and therefore the case should be dismissed against him.
Calida also denied that he is influenced by someone close to the president in filing the said manifestation. Mon Hokson, UNTV News and Rescue, Makati City.
Chief Presidential Legal Counsel Attorney Salvador Panelo supports the decision of the Solicitor General to appeal for the acquittal of Janet Lim Napoles over her illegal detention case. Rosalie Cos will tell us why.
Chief Presidential Legal Counsel Attorney Salvador Panelo is confident that the Office of the Solicitor General is doing its mandate when it filed a manifestation for the acquittal of Janet Lim Napoles over her serious illegal detention case filed by Ben-Hur Luy in relation to pork barrel scam. Solgen Jose Calida have mentioned that the Makati Regional Trial Court committed mistakes when it rendered life imprisonment against Napoles, especially when there are available evidences supporting her acquittal.
Our position is, since the OSG is the office that studied the case, and it is the office that recommended the acquittal of the accused, then we have to abide by its decision unless independent entities can show us that the decision is contrary to evidence and contrary to the record of the case. But I doubt if it is contrary because the OSG is doing its.
Meanwhile, Attorney Panelo denied that the administration Duterte has become soft on Napoles. It is the responsibility of Solgen to make sure justice is served to everyone, even when not instructed by the chief executive. Attorney Panelo also ensures that the Duterte administration will always follow the rule of law regardless of personalities involved.
The administration of Duterte will always follow what the rules and the law and the Constitution say. regardless of who are the persons involved. Whether that person is a controversial figure or that person is a non-controversial figure.
Rosa Licoz, UNTV News and Rescue, Malacanang.
The Commission on Appointments has denied allegations of receiving pressure from Malacanang to approve the appointment of the Department of Justice Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre. Joyce Balancho will tell us why.
The Commission on Appointments or CA has confirmed today the ad interim appointment of Attorney Vitaliano Aguirre as the Department of Justice Secretary after slamming down oppositions by Senator Antonio Trillanes IV. Senator Trillanes stressed during the public hearing that Aguirre is unfit to hold the position as honorable as Secretary of Justice. The senator recalled how the Cabinet Secretary resorted to name-calling him in public when he was linking him to the 50 million bribery scandal in the Bureau of Immigration. Trillanes also said he is troubled with Aguirre's statements that drug lords and drug addicts are not part of humanity.
Because that statement smacks into the heart of his job as Secretary of Justice. That is a legal definition according to a Secretary of Justice.
Secretary Aguirre meanwhile apologized to the senator for using names against Trillanes during media interviews.
That due to the pressure and volume of work, I might have hurt people in my choice of words. And for that, I profusely apologize, specifically to Senator Trillanes.
While Trillanes accepted Aguirre's apology, he still maintained that his confirmation should be delayed until CA has thoroughly investigated the allegation that the Justice Secretary bribed some Bilibid inmates to testify against Senator Leila de Lima. The senator wanted to subpoena the head of the AFP Custodes Center to shed light on the alleged restoration of privileges to inmates. However, CA deemed it unnecessary. Trillanes believes there's a pressure from Malacanang to approve Aguirre's confirmation immediately.
If you notice, Commission on Appointments, largely it's not about merit. It's about political alliances, political conveniences, and political pressure.
I can look at you straight in the eye that there was never any call from any person in Malacanang, including the President. No one has texted or called me or requested me. I did my duty.
Masaya, pero nakakatulog na ata ako mamayang gabi. But naalala ko, meron pa palang hearing bukas. Kaya limit ako pa rin, bitin pa rin siguro ang tulog ko.
Senator Antonio Trillanes IV says though DOJ Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre has already passed the screening procedure of the Commission on Appointments, he will continue on being vigilant and observant to the conduct of the Cabinet Secretary and the DOJ as part of his oversight function as a senator. Joyce Balancho, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
Justice Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre guarantees Senator Leila de Lima's safety in case she is arrested over drug cases still pending before the Department of Justice. Aguirre responded to de Lima's request that if arrested, she likes to be placed in a safe and secured place where she will not fall victim to extrajudicial killings. The Justice Secretary says he can ensure that de Lima will be 99% protected while in detention, but will not be given a special treatment.
Hindi ko alam pero kung tinitira niya yung pag-aircon lamang, hindi din dapat niyang hilingin para sa kanyang sarili.
Meanwhile, Senator Leila de Lima questions the remaining 1% in Aguirre's guarantee of her protection. She says that should be clarified because it appears that it is a foregone conclusion that she will be harmed once arrested. The public may have to pay for the losses mining companies. For the losses of mining companies, should DENR succeed in closing them down. Ray Pelayo will tell us why.
Mining companies are now doing their way to save the mining industry in the country. But if DNR's closure order will be implemented, they may be opted to ask the government to pay their losses. Currently, the affected mining companies are continuously appealing to the government, particularly to President Duterte, to conduct a thorough review on the decisions of DNR Secretary Gina Lopez. Yesterday, Lopez announced the cancellation of 75 mineral production sharing agreement. It comes on the heels of DNR's closure order on 23 mining operations and suspension of 5 others on February 2.
Mahirap kasi kung appeal sa kanya, baka walang mangyari. Kaya most of them already wrote the Office of the President.
If their appeals will not be heard, they will ask the help of the Supreme Court. Foreign investors that will also be affected may go to the International Center for Settlement of Investment Disputes or ICSID. And as a last option, mining firms may reimburse losses stemming from DNR's decision. They say that investments in mining is guaranteed by a provision in the Philippine mining law.
At the end of the day, Congress will have to pass a law to pay for this damage or for the return of investment in order to the mining companies affected, and eventually it will be collected through taxes. So it's going to be the Filipino people who will shoulder it.
The mining companies cannot just cap up the money. We always borrow from financiers or banks. How is that going to happen? How are we going to pay them back?
Ray Pilayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Abu Sayyaf Group, or ASG, has warned of beheading its German captive if authorities fail to deliver the 30 million peso ransom. A video shows captive Jürgen Kantner appealing to the government to give in to the demand of the ASG before February 26 in exchange for his life. Meanwhile, the Armed Forces of the Philippines says it is doing all it can to rescue the 27 captives of the ASG.
So ito yung challenge ahead of us. We will be doing relentless effort. We will pursue them and hopefully we will be able to make it. I have all in all 40 battalions. I have naval component as well as air component.
The New People's Army was engaged in massive recruitment while a unilateral ceasefire was still in effect and have been desperate in doing so, according to the military. Victor Cosare will tell us why.
Since February 1, when the New People's Army announced the withdrawal of their own unilateral ceasefire, the 10th Infantry Division of the Philippine Army has recorded 8 captured NPA rebels and 1 killed in a number of encounters. Also, 18 combatants have surrendered to authorities. The military says the surrenderers have the same reason for quitting the armed rebellion.
Hindi nga sila sanay sa gutom at sa hirap na dinadanas nila sa loob. Yun nga, in fact, itong 18 na surrenderies na ito na hawak na natin ngayon, pare-pareho yung kanilang sentiments. But yung hardship, saka yung hirap habang nasa loob ng NPA ang nagdulot kung bakit sila sumuko.
Some of the surrenderers had been members of the rebel group for just 7 months or less. The 10th Infantry Division says this just proves that the NPA were conducting massive recruitment when the unilateral ceasefire was still in effect.
Yung recruitment nila is going towards forcing the people to join the communist movement.
Aside from the mass recruitment, the military says the rebels also intensified extortion activities to fund their organization.
Mostly extortion activities yung pinanggagalingan ng kanilang pera na pinapakain din sa group.
The military appeals to other rebels to voluntarily surrender to avoid the consequences facing them in light of the military's offensive against the NPA. The Armed Forces of the Philippines says the government is ready to provide assistance to those who are willing to lay down their arms. Victor Cosare, UNTV News and Rescue, Davao City.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines, or AFP, is on heightened alert in Surigao del Norte, especially in the conduct of relief operations. Leila de Lima will tell us why.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines or AFP has heightened its alert status in the province of Surigao del Norte after suspected members of the New People's Army or NPA ambushed a convoy of soldiers conducting humanitarian and relief operation in Barangay Linunganan, San Francisco yesterday. 30th Infantry Battalion Commander Lieutenant Colonel Rico Amaro says the 5 military trucks were heading back after delivering relief goods in Barangay Karihatag, Malimono, Surigao del Norte when fired at by alleged NPA factions. The exchange of fire lasted for 5 minutes. There were no reported military and civilian injuries and casualties. The AFP noted that NPA spokesperson Ka Otto did not take responsibility for the ambush. However, the AFP says a certain Ka Lucas who introduced himself as the commander of Platoon 16B admitted committing the ambush. Ka Lucas leads a local NPA unit.
We must not trust yung statement ng NPA knowing for a fact na nung una pa before they have declared a lifting of their ceasefire on effective is February 10. January 29 nag-abduct na sila ng sundalo at meron silang mga hinaras na detachments, may mga sinunog sila ng mga equipments ng negosyo.
The military commander adds that they have already identified those who ambushed the military convoy and have already filed a blotter report against them.
Immediately after na ambush, I have directed my 2 companies na malapit doon sa area to conduct the pursuit doon sa mga possible routes of withdrawal nila.
AFP also calls on those who wish to help earthquake areas in Surigao to coordinate with them so they could be assisted in delivering aid. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The House Committee on Public Information approved today the substitute bill of the proposed Freedom of Information Bill. In comparison with Malacanang's Executive Order No. 2, the approved version covers the other 2 main branches of government, the legislative and judiciary. However, the substitute bill exempts the release of government information and transaction records, specifically those which can jeopardize national security, foreign affairs, trade secrets, and ongoing investigations. House Speaker Pantaleon Alvarez, for his part, expresses support to the FOI bill and vows for its immediate deliberation in the plenary.
Well, sa akin, dire-diretso na yan. Kailangan maging transparent tayo.
The House Committee on Transportation sees a problem that will delay the implementation of the planned 2.8 billion peso LRT-MRT common station. Nel Maribohok will tell us why.
I think DOTR, it's high time na you start building with or without a TRO.
House Speaker Pantaleon Alvarez calls on the Department of Transportation or DOTR to step up and start immediately the construction of LRT Common Station in Quezon City. But the House Speaker leaves it to the National Economic Development Authority on what version of Common Station will be approved. Despite this, House Committee Chairman Cesar Sarmiento is concerned over the possible delays in the implementation of DOTR's 2.8 billion peso common station due to issues faced by the controversial project. These include the issue of legality of the Memorandum of Agreement signed last January as well as various oppositions to the project.
Have you consulted the Office of the Solicitor General? Will this MOA even pass the scrutiny of the Supreme Court? Honestly, they show that unified station is not a sure go.
According to the minority group, they will continue burying the billion peso project.
We are going to head on a collision course here if the administration will support the position of Secretary Tugade.
The committee is currently deliberating on the alternative temporary common station that is seen to benefit 30,000 commuters. Meanwhile, in the said hearing, the House leadership questioned the capacity of former DPWH Secretary Rogelio Singson as the current CEO and President of the Light Rail Manila Corporation. According to the House Speaker, the former secretary may have violated the provisions of Republic Act No. 6713 or the Code of Conduct and Ethical Standards for Public Officials and Employees that bans former government officials from entering private enterprises within 1 year. According to House Majority Leader, Singson should consult Congress first in his action.
At pag in-approve ng House, iyon po ang sandalan nyo para hindi ko kayo magkakaso.
If you feel that there is a violation, I'm willing to resign anytime.
Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, House of Representatives.
The Philippine National Police says policemen facing complaints in the office of the Ombudsman is normal considering their line of work. Grace Casin will tell us why.
The Philippine National Police explains why they topped the 2016 Ombudsman's report with the most number of complaints. According to Police Senior Superintendent Junardo Carlos, it's a normal issue in the PNP that they're facing complaints in the office of the Ombudsman because of the nature of their work.
Yung nature kasi ng trabaho ng pulis, gumigit na ho palagi yung pulis sa dalawang naglalaban na let's say sa isang kaso, and most of the time when the police go to one side and file a case to the other, bumabalik sila. Ibig sabihin, nagpa-file naman sila ng case to get back at the police involved.
Based on the report, complaints filed against policemen at the office of the Ombudsman reached 1,200 in 2015 and 1,022 in 2016. Nevertheless, Carlos says they're still positive on the Ombudsman's report.
If you look at the record, mas kakaunti po yung 2016 compared to the previous year. So we're improving.
Carlos says they're making sure that all cases filed against the policemen undergo proper trial as part of their internal cleansing. Grace Casin, UNTV News and Rescue, Camp Crame.
The Philippine National Police Criminal Investigation and Detection Group and the Special Action Force jointly raided the house of a former mayor in Arayat, Pampanga. Aga Kaakbay will tell us why.
The Philippine National Police Criminal Investigation and Detection Group or PNP-CIDG raided the house of former Arayat, Pampanga Mayor Luis Espino in Alonso Subdivision, Barangay Manga, Cacutud. CIDG says they receive information that Espino keeps illegal firearms and explosives inside his house, for which he was arrested by the operatives. CIDG also arrested 4 of the former mayor's colleagues, including the captain of the barangay where the raid had taken place. According to the SAF, one is injured from their side and was immediately rushed to a hospital. The SAF adds Espino's camp resisted, which resulted in a shootout. The former mayor's family, meanwhile, could not believe the arrest conducted by the authorities.
Hindi ko alam kung ano yung dahilan kasi nananahimik naman dito yung sa loob yung kapatid namin.
Talagang plano itong ginawa nila sa kanila. Malabang yung sa politika.
Espino and his colleagues were brought to the CIDG office in Angeles City. Aga Kaakbay, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The Department of Health says the drug rehabilitation centers the government built have not been put to waste after the postponement of the war on drugs. War in the past will tell us why.
Based on the report of the Philippine National Police, about 1 million drug dependents have already surrendered under the government's anti-drug campaign. The Health Department says it has community-based programs that provide services to drug surrenderers.
So kung 1.3 po or 1.1 or 1 million na lang po ilagay muna natin. So mga 10,000 po kung 1% or 20,000 will be requiring residential or inpatient treatment. Majority of which will be requiring yung pong community-based provision of treatments, care and services.
For this reason, DOH asserts that the drug rehabilitation centers the government built are not put to waste since the treatment of drug victims is ongoing. This after the government ordered suspension of its anti-drug war.
Meron din po tayo mga outpatient facilities na intensive outpatient na regular pong bumabalik po doon sa facility. So for now, we have 48 accredited rehab centers in the whole country, but mostly are private facilities. 35 po ang private facilities and the rest are government.
The Health Department believes treating drug patients is not just the obligation of the government but also of other sectors and the media through information and education. Thus, Dr. Peralta says it is important to intensify the campaign not only against the effects of illegal drugs in the country but also on how to inform drug victims about how to avail of the services offered by the government under its drug rehabilitation program.
We are now trying to have the implementation po ng community-based treatment program sa pamamagitan po ng mga local government units kasi nga po we need to empower the LGUs kasi sila po ang nasa grassroots level down to the barangays.
Meanwhile, Quezon City Police Director General Guillermo Eliazar hopes of a more effective police operation against illegal drugs after the internal cleansing among PNP ranks.
We're hoping na panandalian lang po ito dahil nakikita naman natin yung nagiging consequence of this non-involvement ng ating Philippine National Police on the active role in the operation against illegal drugs.
Brian De Paz, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Bureau of Fire Protection has launched early its fire prevention campaign. Aga Kaakbay will tell us why.
The fire prevention campaign is in line with the Proclamation 115A of 1966 of former President Ferdinand Marcos, who declared March as Fire Prevention Month. However, the Bureau of Fire Protection or BFP National Capital Region has launched the campaign early to prevent more fire incidents. Specifically, BFP has launched today in Barangay Addition Hills, Mandaluyong, the project called Lingguhang Babala para Iwas Disgrasya, together with the DILG, PNP, and MMDA. It is a weekly fire prevention campaign which aims to inform residents on how to prevent and extinguish fire. BFP distributed fire safety flyers in each resident that contain guidelines on how to prevent fires inside houses, how to properly use fire extinguishers, what to do during fires, and the creation of a fire exit plan inside the house. The project also aims to increase firemen and fire truck visibility, which would greatly help in their campaign.
Ito pong fireman and fire truck visibility, malaking tulong po to. Kasi nga po yung ating mga kababayan na makakakita po ng fire truck ng isang bumbero, makakaroon po sila ng memory recall on the past experiences and past incidents. Kung meron pong sunog na nangyayari sa lugar nila.
The BFP also calls on officials of barangays to maintain public order and manage traffic properly during times of fire to immediately put it out.
Talaga pong dapat mabigyan kagad ng access yung ating mga responding fire truck para po makalapit kasi po mas effective po yung ating fire suppression pag malapit po yung source ng tubig.
The Bureau of Fire Protection or BFP says to avoid fire, it is important for the public to cooperate with the government. The public can cooperate with the BFP through its hotline 911 or website bfp.gov.ph. Aga Kaakbay, UNTV News and Rescue, Mandaluyong City.
Bulacan is likely to build an alternative to the Ninoy Aquino International Airport. Marnokson will tell us why.
Based on the latest report of the World Economic Forum Global Competitiveness, the Philippines has the lowest quality of transport infrastructure in Asia. The American Chamber of Commerce of the Philippines, meanwhile, says the Philippines has to build a new airport to encourage more tourists to visit and businessmen to invest in the country.
The existing airports throughout the country need improvement, and that's a constant factor. It's not new to this administration. It's always been there because demand is increasing, both domestic and international.
Thus, the Department of Transportation or DOTR is studying the proposal of a private company about building an airport in Bulacan to ease air traffic congestion at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport. Under the said proposal, the airport will have 2 to 6 runways. The 2,000-hectare proposed airport has a carrying capacity of 100 million passengers, which could help decongest NAIA. The construction of the airport will cost $10 billion, but the private group proposing it vows to shoulder the expenses.
Because ang paggawa po ng airport ay hindi parang paggawa ng isang bahay na hindi madalian. It will take about, mabilis po yung 4 years, maybe 5 to 6 years to even build just the first phase.
Although there are other initial proposals for the construction of a new airport in the country, none of has been approved yet by the government. The government to date has no plans to expand the capacity of NAIA, but only to conduct an infrastructure improvement. Nevertheless, if approved, the government targets to finish the construction of the proposed airport in Bulacan before President Rodrigo Duterte's term ends. Monhokson, UNTV News and Rescue, Makati City.
The UP Vanguards believe that the implementation of Mandatory Reserve Officers Training Corps or ROTC in schools will strengthen youth participation in disaster response and national security. However, some parents want to assure that the mandatory ROTC will not be used in any form of violence among students. Joanna will tell us why.
Some parents support the plan of President Rodrigo Duterte to include the Mandatory Reserve Officer Training Corps or ROTC in school curriculums. They believe that this will help the youth understand the importance of discipline, leadership, and patriotism. But despite of the support, there are still some parents that worry over the possibility of the training being used as a form of violence among students. Some of them say that the said program will be good for their children, but insist that the school management should assure that this will not be abused and be taught properly.
Okay lang po sa kami, umakan. Para sa mga bata po yun eh. Para matuto po. Disiplina po yun sa eskwelahan eh.
Pero para sa akin, okay rin naman yung may sa ROTC eh. Hindi maganda yung mga nakaraang mga na sa ROTC. Wala nang pang-aabuso, ganun. Di ba mayroong mga ganun na namamatay dahil sa ROTC. Katulad ng mga hising-hising ganun. Dahil sa mga namumuno noon, sa mga nagtuturo noon. Pero gusto ko sana mabago yun eh.
Meanwhile, according to the group UP Vanguards, an organization composed of retired cadet officers who are also knowledgeable in ROTC, the implementation of this program among students will be a great help to enhance their abilities on emergency response and security defense in case a need arises in their communities.
Ang objective ho nito is para yung ating kabataan matrain na magtulungan, mabigyan ng kakayahan, mabigyan ng equipment at mobilization procedure para kung sakasakaling kailangan ang kanilang tulong at serbisyo para depensa ng ating bansa o kaya tumulong sa kanilang komunidad, may emergency, may sakuna o merong mga pangangailangan ng tulong, sila na gustong tumulong can be mobilized properly.
Recently, President Duterte has approved the inclusion of mandatory ROTC in curriculums of senior high school students, both in public and private schools. But the implementation of the program is still pending until such time that amendments on some provisions of the NSTP law will be made by Congress and the Senate. Joanna, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Philippine Health Insurance Corporation, or PhilHealth, is now preparing for the launch of this year of health packages for drug dependents and benefit packages for children with disability. Aiko Miguel will tell us why.
The Philippine Health Insurance Corporation, or PhilHealth, is celebrating its 22nd anniversary. In line with this, the health insurance agency will launch new health benefit packages this year. Two of these are medical detoxification package for drug dependents and benefit packages for children with disabilities. The medical detoxification package also covers all drug dependents, PhilHealth member or not, especially those PhilHealth benefit dependent aged 21 years old and below.
Ito lang yung intervention that PhilHealth for now can cover for the members, PhilHealth members. As I've said, yung mga drug dependents na hindi PhilHealth member, they will go into the process of validation. Kung sila ba ay walang financial capability, so babagsak sila doon sa sponsor program, o if they have the financial capability naman yung family, of course, kailangan this should be enrolled.
The benefit package for children with disabilities will focus on their need for medical help and the hiring of specialists who will look after them, especially those considered indigents.
Children with disability is a commitment for the as a component of our Millennium Development Goals, for the public health in general,
The government, meanwhile, remains in full support of PhilHealth, the DOH, and the DSWD in addressing the needs of drug dependents and children with disabilities.
It's an excellent program to go along with the President's war on drugs.
Currently, PhilHealth is in the process of drafting the guidelines and coverage of said health packages. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Taguig City.
The Technical Education and Skills Development Authority or TESDA and the National Council on Disability Affairs have signed today an agreement to give free skills training to persons with disability nationwide. The Training for Work Scholarship Program will help PWDs acquire the national certificate necessary for job application in the country and even abroad.
We will consult with the industry, no? The employers, the groups generating jobs in this country. We will make sure that there is no discrimination. They are also what you call this, human beings deserving the assistance of the government as well as the private sector.
Also this afternoon, TESDA and the National Press Club of the Philippines signed an agreement that would provide free skills training program for the press and their dependents. TESDA will proceed on preparing the curriculum as well as the trainers for the opening of TESDA's skills training program to persons with disability and members of the media and their dependents. The temperature in the country is continuously dropping, especially in the morning. In Baguio City, it broke record yesterday with temperature dropping from 8 degrees Celsius down to 7.3 degrees Celsius as of 6 a.m. This is due to the effect of the northeast monsoon that prevails all over the country. Aside from the cold weather, Pag-asa said that cloudy skies with occasionally heavy rains that may trigger flash floods and landslides will be experienced in the regions of Caraga, Davao, and Socsargen. Moderate rains are also expected over the rest of Mindanao. Light rains will be experienced in Cagayan Valley, Cordillera, Bicol, Eastern Visayas, and the provinces of Aurora and Quezon. Metro Manila and the rest of the country will have partly cloudy to cloudy skies with light rains or thunderstorms. Some parts of Benguet are experiencing frost due to the dipping temperature. Frost was found in Kibungan, Mancayat, and Bugias last week. According to a validation and monitoring group, there have already been a slight damages in 5 to 10% of crops in Atok, Bugias, and Kibungan. Damaged crops were mostly potatoes. Frost or andap is a regular phenomenon in the highlands in which ice covers plantations when temperature drops at its lowest.
Coming up, South Korea's spy agency suspects that assassins killed the estranged half-brother of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un.
And a super jumbo Airbus A380 jet has arrived to its new homeland in Paris, France.
More from Y News after this break. A kasangbahay who had kidney problems successfully underwent a shockwave treatment. Leslie Longbowen will tell us why.
UNTV has recently assisted a Pasig City resident who had a kidney problem. Abril Dalit came to the UNTV Action Center complaining of severe pain. In response, the station brought Abril to De Los Santos Medical Center, one of its partners in public service, for medical assessment. Dr. Francisco Firmalo III, a urologist, found out through the assessment that Abril has a clear symptom of kidney stones. Dr. Firmalo then advised Abril to undergo lithotripsy, which is a kind of procedure that makes use of sound waves or shock waves.
Yung shockwave, ito ay isang paraan ng pagtanggal ng bato na hindi na kinakailangang operahan. Ito ay isang technology na gumagamit ng sound waves o shockwave na pag itutok natin yung shockwave sa bato at tumama yung shockwave sa bato, unti-unting mapupulbos yung bato at dadaan na lang sa ihi, sa daloy ng ihi.
The kidney is a pair of bodily organs responsible for cleaning the blood among its many functions. It also balances the amount of salt and minerals and maintains normal blood pressure. If not properly cared for, the kidneys can cause serious diseases that could lead to death. That's why doctors advise the public to always drink plenty of water and avoid vices such as smoking and drinking liquor. Leslie Longbowen for Serbisyong Kasangbahay.
South Korea's spy agency suspects 2 female North Korean agents assassinated the estranged half-brother of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un in Malaysia. Eric Ferrer will tell us why.
사망 원인은 독극물 테러로 인한 것으로 강력히 추정되지만 정확한 사인은 부검을 통해서 확인할 예정입니다. 오늘 부검이 있을 예정이랍니다.
South Korean intelligence believed Kim Jong-nam was poisoned, lawmakers in Seoul said after being briefed by the country's spy agency. U.S. government sources also believed that Kim had been murdered by North Korean assassins.
2명의 여성은 택시를 타고 도주했으며 말레이시아 수사당국이 쫓고 있는데 아직 탈출하지 못한 것으로 보입니다.
The lawmakers said that the spy agency told them that the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un had issued a standing order for his half-brother's assassination and that there had been a failed attempt in 2012.
그러나 경찰총국을 비롯한 정보 당국은 지속적으로 암살 기회를 엿보면서 준비하고 있었고 결국 오랜 노력의 결과로 이번 암살이 실행된 것으로 보입니다. 따라서 암살 타이밍은 특별한 의미가 없고 오랜 스탠딩 오더가 집행된 것으로 분석됩니다.
Kim Jong-nam had spoken out publicly against his family's dynastic control of the isolated state. He was known to spend a significant amount of time outside North Korea and has been caught in the past using forged travel documents. Kim had been planning to travel to Macau on Monday when he fell ill at KLIA's low-cost terminal. Malaysian police said that the cause of Kim's death was not yet known and that a post-mortem examination would be carried out. Malaysia is one of a dwindling number of countries that has close relations with North Korea. Malaysians and North Koreans can visit each other's country without visas. Eric Ferrer, UNTV News and Rescue, South Korea.
A timetabled steam train service runs in Britain for the first time in half a century. Jovic Bermas will tell us why.
Hundreds of enthusiasts lined the historic settle to Carlisle route in northern England on Tuesday to witness the maiden journey of the first regular passenger steam train in 50 years.
A lot of people stand there and watch it all. Other people, they look up from their iPads and their phones and their newspapers and they're like, wow, what's that? And it's just like a time machine.
Powered by a tornado locomotive, the trains puff its way through a beautiful scenery of Eden Valley in Cumbria, across the Ribblehead Viaduct to Yorkshire Dales. Tornado 60163 is the first mainline steam engine built in Britain since the 1960s. The £3 million steam engine took 18 years to build and was completed in 2008. It can achieve speeds of 75 miles per hour. The return of steam power to the settled Carlisle Railway marks the reopening of the line, partially closed after landslides in February last year. For 3 days, the steam train will carry passengers from Appleby, Cumbria to Skipton, and North Yorkshire, making 4 journeys each day. Regular train services are due to reopen on March 31. Northern Rail, operator of the settled Carlisle line, said the demand was extraordinary and tickets have almost sold out. Steam trains hold a particular place in the British imagination due to the country's pioneering role in developing the railway industry in the 19th century, and to the enduring popularity of children's fiction character Thomas the Tank Engine. Jovic Bermas, UNTV News and Rescue, London, United Kingdom.
Greek farmers demonstrate outside Parliament, offering their produce for free. Meanwhile, Mexico is preparing for the influx of deportees from the United States. Marge Pelayo will tell us why.
In Mexico, a Mexican city across the border from Texas is preparing itself for an influx of deportees as President Donald Trump vows to get tough on undocumented migrants. The Mexican border of Nuevo Laredo receives more deportees from the U.S. than any other city, according to the data from Tamaulipas Institute for Migrants. Between January and July of 2017, 45% of U.S. deportees arrived in the border city, and the number is expected to increase in 2017. In Greece, farmers from across the country flooded the Greek capital on Tuesday to protest against government reforms, particularly increased taxation and social security contributions and reduced pensions amidst high production costs. The farmers brought some of their produce along to the protest and parked a truck piled with heads of cabbage outside the parliament, handing it out for free to Athenians passing by. The Greek government has opened dialogue with the sector but without results. And in California, Californians who were ordered to evacuate due to a threat from the tallest dam in the United States safely returned to their homes and businesses may resume operations. A previous evacuation order has been reduced to an evacuation warning, according to County Sheriff Corrijonea. More rain is forecast for as early as Wednesday and through Sunday, thus authorities still advise residents to be prepared to evacuate again if necessary.
Taking into account the current level of risk, the predicted strength of the next round of inclement weather, and the capacity of the lake to accommodate increased inflow associated with those storms, we have concluded that it is safe to reduce the immediate evacuation order currently in place to an evacuation warning. This allows evacuated residents to return to their homes and for businesses in the area to resume operations.
Marge Navarro, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Alexander Kristoff is declared fastest after stage 1 at the Tour of Oman. Meanwhile, Paris Saint-Germain celebrates after a match against Barcelona. Aaron Romero tells us why.
Midfielder Angelo Di Maria was at his vintage best as he scored twice on Tuesday as Paris Saint-Germain demolished Barcelona at the Champions League round of 16 yesterday. PSG ended the battle at 4-0. On the other hand, 5 times European champions Barca have not exited in the last 16 since going out to Liverpool in the 2006-2007 season. It can be noted that PSG was eliminated by the Catalans in the Champions League quarterfinals in 2013 and 2015. Meanwhile, Norwegian Alexander Kristoff finished the fastest at the Tour of Oman on Tuesday as he wins a sprint finish on the opening day. The early part of the 176.5-kilometer stage saw a breakaway of 5 riders: Lawrence Warbas, Aim Digent, Alan Marangoni, Giuseppe Fonzi, and Christophe Masson. But they were reeled in as the finish line loomed in the distance, allowing Christophe to repeat his 2016 victory at Nazim Park.
And at the end, I think Quickstep was on the right side and took the front quite much earlier than us. We was waiting, stayed in the bunch, and then they were unlucky because on the right side was really tight, and I think Bone went down just with around 1K to go. So that was a pity because I think for sure it would have made a tough competition.
Aaron Romero, UNTV News and Rescue, New York.
A super jumbo Airbus A380 jet has arrived to its new home in Le Bourget near Paris in France. June Garin will tell us why.
France honors the A380 Super Jumbo with a place in its National Aerospace Museum on Tuesday, granting it equal status with the Boeing 747, even as questions pile up over the future of the industry's biggest jets. The A380 test plane is the fourth to be built and the second to actually fly in 2005. It is the first time Airbus has transferred one of its test planes to a museum, and a victory for curators who for years have coveted the world's largest jetliner. Designed to carry up to 853 people in all economy seating or 544 in standard layout. The plane will see out its retirement alongside the vintage 747, once flown by Air France, and is expected to become a popular tourist attraction when it goes on display in 2018.
C'est un très beau vol. On était dans les entrailles de l'avion. C'est un prototype, c'est le plus gros avion du monde. C'est le transport de masse en sécurité, confortable. C'est un avion d'essai. Ça veut dire que le musée rentre un avion qui est du 21e siècle. Il a été prévu, il a été commencé le programme fin 2000, donc c'est vraiment l'avenir qui est devant nous.
The test plane's pilot Hugo van der Stichel said all the A380's mechanics bid farewell from the Airbus headquarters in Toulouse.
Chez pas mal de monde, mais oui, au moment du départ, bien sûr, c'est normal. Les mécanos sont tristes de voir l'avion partir, c'est logique. Mais c'est un sentiment qui est sain, c'est-à-dire qu'il y a de l'attachement au projet.
Flight engineer leader Gerard Desbois said now it was time to share the test plane with the public.
Donc voilà, cet avion a fini sa carrière de prototype, donc plutôt que de le détruire, eh bien, on l'a amené ici au musée de l'air et de l'espace du Bourget pour que il ait une deuxième vie qui continue à être vue, visitée et donner envie à des plus jeunes de voyager dans les airs avec le plus bel avion du monde.
But after fewer than 10 years in service, the A380's double-decker design is less successful commercially than the designers hoped. Since 2005, the A380 Super Jumbo has been a showstopper at events like the Paris Air Show, yards from the Aerospace Museum at Le Bourget. June Garin, UNTV News on Rescue, Paris, France.
Those are the reasons behind the news. February 15, 2017. I'm Angelo Castro III.
Reasons we delivered to you as they unfold. I'm Darlene Basingan.
Because we need to know. We will always ask why. Thank you for watching. Why News?